So, yeah, let's get started. So, before we begin, let's just do a brief catch up. So, if you guys are comfortable sharing, do you want to tell the rest of the class something cool that you did yesterday and something that you ate yesterday?
Yesterday was a half day for me, so I got to hang out with my friends after school and um I don't know what I'm eating that's cool.
And do either Aaron or Sophie want to share? If you want, you can also share through the chat if you aren't
I
comfortable.
finished finals,
Oh, you did? Congrats, congrats.
and something I ate yesterday was dumplings.
Okay, sounds cool, sounds cool. You were here yesterday, you saw the schedule that yesterday we went over aristocrats. Everything that we did has been posted on Google Classroom. And then today we're doing Baconians, and then on Friday we'll be doing Pollux and Morbits, and the rest of the schedule will be continued in August. So for those of us who were here yesterday, let's do a basic review of some of the vocabulary we learned. So does anybody want to tell me any what of like the definitions of any of these four words? Okay, if not, that's okay. We can just go over them. Oh, see. Yeah, so plain text is like regular text like English, and that would mean that ciphertext is the text that's not English or in some sort of cryptic or like different I don't want to say different language, but written in a different way that is not understandable without translating it back into English or plain text. And then encrypting, does anybody know if encrypting is going from plain text to ciphertext or the other way around?
I think it's going from plain text to ciphertext.
Yep, you're right. And decrypting and deciphering is just the other way. Sounds good. I think we got a good hang of this. And this is just some of the random stuff we reviewed yesterday. I don't know how much you guys remember, but let's see. So what's the most common letter of the English alphabet based on the reference table? If not, I can make it multiple choice for you guys. Okay, so out of E, T, and S, which one do you guys think is the most common and least common?
E is the most common and S is the least common.
Yep, that's right. And then besides English, what other languages do we have to solve ciphers in?
Spanish.
Yep, so in terms of Codebusters and Science Olympiad, we do Spanish and English, but outside of Spanish and English, technically there's ciphers in every single language, but you're only required to know those two for Science Olympiad. And then just in general, what type of grammar or punctuation helps us solve ciphers? Okay, no worries. This is going to be more useful today than yesterday. It was in the bonus problem or the second practice problem we didn't get to. But if you have like an apostrophe, you can remember that it either ends in NT or something like VE or something like RE. That will be very useful today. Or if you have things like commas, I know Emma and I, we use this to solve a lot of ciphers yesterday. Um, I don't know if you guys know fanboys, but any sort of conjunctions can also be used. Fanboys. And then I guess things that are less helpful, but you can look out for are colons and then like lists. So like a bunch of columns. And I don't know if you guys remember this, but we went over these two word patterns yesterday. Do any of you guys happen to remember what they stand for? Okay, if not, that's fine. Let's go over them really quickly. So this one is, oh, let me draw a straighter line. It's not that straight. Okay, this one is that, where it's a four-letter word, and the first letter and the last letter repeat. typically, well, there's obviously other words that can fulfill this pattern, but that is the most common. So you guys should definitely look out for that. No pun intended. And then this word is there, where you have these two letters repeated. You can see that right here. Also, there's probably other words in the English language that follow this pattern, but typically it's there. And then this is the bonus. This will be used today. This word is actually the word people. It's also my favorite word pattern because people don't typically know it. So it's where the first and the fourth letter repeat, and then the second and the last letter repeat. So just keep that in mind when we're solving aristocrats today. Okay, so this was the answer for the aristocrat yesterday that we didn't get to get to. You can see the apostrophe pattern here, where if there's an apostrophe and one letter, this letter can either be an S or a T, and depending on how you solve the rest of the cipher, it typically gives you a better idea of what exactly it is. And before we get into Baconians today, let's solve an aristocrat. So, if you guys, does everybody know how to annotate? Okay, yeah. I see Aaron has already figured out that. Is that an O or an A? Okay, that's an A. Okay. That is, I'm pretty sure, right. So, you can, yeah, and that does look like and. So, I will fill out the table here. A, D. And if you guys see anything, feel free to just put it in because this was old stuff from yesterday. But if you guys do need help on anything, I will give out some pointers to hopefully jog your memories. Okay, so right now, I'm not gonna lie, it looks kind of rough. But this is a word pattern where if you see it's N and then three blanks, the last two blanks repeat, it is most likely going to be NESS, and it's going to be a noun. And that makes sense, especially because there's a or not a semicolon, a colon here. So it makes sense if it was a noun and then like a modifier describing it. So NESS. Oops. So D would be E, and then R would be S. And if D is, oh, this is also D. So if D corresponds to E, then does anybody have any guesses as to what these two letters could be if they repeat and are in the middle of a word?
Maybe E?
Careful. We know that D is E already. So it has to be a different vowel.
O?
Yep, it is O. So I think letters that typically repeat in the middle of a sentence are either E or O. And if I had to guess between E and O, I'd probably guess E. But because in this scenario we already have E, then it'd be safer to guess or O. Or like the only options to guess O. And then does anybody have a guess as to what this word could be? It looks like an adjective that ends in OOD. Yeah, I think it is good. Okay, I know this might be hard for you guys to see, but here's another word pattern that I like to look for. If it's something and it ends in ON, it's most likely going to end in TION. Or it's like good, it's like, even if you're not sure, it's something good to try. So if we were stuck here, my next guess would be to plug in TION. And here we have the word digestion, which is actually a word. So I think we're going in the right area or the right direction. So T. Okay. So the next place I would look is probably here. I know this one really stands out to me because it just really looks like a word, but I don't know if it appears the same way to you guys. Does anybody have any guesses as to what this word could potentially be? Okay, no worries. The two Q's stand out to me, and it's something E-ness, so I think it's gonna be happiness. Um, yeah, so this would be H, and then the two Q's would be P. Okay, and um, this last part is more difficult, but I guess in general, my strategy would be to start trying words here because there's only so many things this could be. So anything that you think would make logical sense in this part of the sentence, you can start trying for this word. And then because you see that A is or N is here, you can try putting N here. So I think is Aaron, are you gonna guess book? I think that's a pretty good guess. So then if we guess book, we should put the B here and see if it makes sense. And if it doesn't, then we should try the next best option. So I don't think there's a English word with two B's, so I don't think book is the right guess. But if we put the K here, I think this looks like bank account. So we should, as if we put the B here instead, I think this looks more, it makes more sense. So I think it would be, yeah, a bank account and then it'd be cook. So happiness, a good bank account, a good cook, and good digestion, or a good digestion. Sounds good. I think we solved that pretty fast. Let's go to the next one. Oh, okay. So today we're going to spend most of our time talking about Baconian ciphers. So just a little bit about them. They're my favorite types of ciphers, but they're very, very time consuming, or maybe I'm just slow at solving them, but on average it takes my teammates and I anywhere from 30 minutes to 3 hours to solve one because it can get very, very difficult. But when you solve them, they're very satisfying to solve. And they're also one of the more like math related ciphers. So I was talking about this yesterday, but word spaces in Baconian ciphers are not preserved. So what that means is if you had a word like and you and I, if it's something in an aristocrat, these spaces are shown to you. So you're able to, I would say it's easier for you to guess that this is you and I. But in things like Baconians or other types of ciphers that spaces aren't preserved, you would see something like this. And you would have to put in where the spaces are. So, yeah. And Baconians can be written in symbols, letters, pictures, like quite literally anything. So I've seen like stuff like this, this, this. It can also be written in like stuff like music notes. It can also be written in like letters like A, B, C, D, or like words. So like 5 letter words. Pictures, I've seen houses or just really random things, but Baconians can really be written in anything. And this is going to make a lot more sense when we get into how to actually solve them and what they actually mean. So a binary system, what is that? Is everybody here comfortable with the binary system? If not, I'm going to play a video. Okay. Emma, Sophie, are both of you guys comfortable? Oh, yeah, for sure. I can play the video just for a safe measure.
The binary number system works the same way as the decimal number system. The only difference is what each of these places represents. This is a 4-digit binary number, 1010. Each of these digits can also be called a bit, since a bit represents 0 or 1. Now this 4-digit number equals the decimal number 10, and we're going to see why. This first place, this is the ones place, just like in decimal. Now there's a 0 here, so that means we're going to multiply 0 times 1, get the very exciting value of 0. The second place, the second bit here, that's where things get more interesting. This is actually the twos place, not the tens place. And there's a 1 here, so we're going to multiply 1 times 2. So far, this number equals 2. The third place, the third bit, this is 0, and this is the 4's place. So we're going to multiply 0 times 4, which is once again just 0. And we're still looking at the number 2. Finally, this fourth bit here, this is the 8's place, and there's a 1 here. So we're going to multiply 1 times 8. Add that to everything else, we end up having 8 plus 2, which equals decimal 10.
A base 2 system is kind of similar to a base 10 system. So if this wasn't base 10, this would be your ones place, this would be your tens place, this would be your 100s place, and this would be your 1000s place. And then you would do this same type of math, but instead of having the places be 1, 10, 100, and 1000, it's now 1, 2, 4, and 8. In other words, it's powers of 2 instead of powers of 10. This is what we have for binary. Just a little bit of practice. 001 in base 10. Can anybody tell me what that is? Okay, if not, that's okay. It's 1 because it's just 1 times 1. And if you see sort of this, it matches with this. So typically the general convention is that 0 can also be written as A and 1 can also be written as B. And as we learned yesterday, B is also the quote-unquote first letter, or like B is assigned 1 and A is assigned 0, which corresponds to their like number in base 10, if that makes sense. And then this would match with F, which I think is the 5th letter of the alphabet. Technically not the 5th letter, E would be the 5th letter, but F is assigned number 5. And then this would be 1, 2, 4, 8, 16. So that's 23. So 23, you can see that this matches this. And although we did learn yesterday that Z is technically assigned 25 because it's the 26th letter of the alphabet, something different about the binary system for ciphers is that I and J are assigned the same letter and U and V are assigned the same letter. So what that means is if you have either this pattern or this pattern that pops up when you're solving code or when you're solving ciphers, it's up to you to decide which one to use. So funny story, actually, I didn't know this when I started, and I was very confused when I was solving a cipher because instead of happiness, I wrote happy with a J or happiness with a J, and I couldn't figure out what happened. So just keep that in mind when you're solving ciphers, because if every letter like you get wrong means points off, something like this could be very important and could break like important ties. So yeah. Okay. Ooh. So let's start with this sort of Baconian cipher. So I think the strategy I typically go by is separate everything into groups of 5. Because the binary system for ciphers is every 5 letters corresponds to a letter of the alphabet, you should first split up everything into groups of 5. So we can do that right now. If you guys want to help me, that'd be really helpful. Okay, that looks good. Thanks. So you see that here we only have 2 letters, or 2 numbers, which means we are very, very lucky because one of them is an A or a B, or you can think of 0 or 1, and the other one is the other one. So does anybody want to take a lucky guess for as to which one is which? It doesn't matter because if you're wrong, we'll just try the other one and we're automatically like going to figure it out. So it doesn't matter.
Can I guess that 7 is A?
Yep. Okay, so let's guess that 7 is A. So I think the strategy when it comes to like guessing is first figure out like the first couple of letters. And if they don't make sense, then something's wrong. So if we have B, A, 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 B, B, A, A, B, we have S, and then we have O. B, A, B, 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 A, B, B is either U or V. But based on my discretion, I'm pretty sure it would have to be a U, if this is correct. So we would then have A, B, A, B, B. So A, B, A, B, A, B, B is M. Okay, I think this kind of looks like a word. So let's just go with this and roll with this. So if one of you guys wants to start solving from the back, I think we can get this done pretty fast. And also, this is the reference table, so you can like cross-check what letter it responds to. Okay, so this looks like summer camp. I think I decided this is tabular. Does anybody want to decide what the next 2 words are, or what they look like?
I think the last word is a V for event.
Yep, I do. I agree with that. Aaron,
Competition.
close. The last, remember that, I think you wrote it's either U or V, so it's related to a competition. This one is an I or J, and this one is a U or V. It's actually competitive, which I think is close enough to competition. So summer camp, tabular, competitive event. Sounds good. Also, if you guys don't know what the word tabular means, I think it means like on paper or like something related to. Yes, thank you for whoever typed that. Also, like, I guess the general consensus is that for ciphers like these, I always write my answers out separately because it's kind of messy and hard to read, or I will put X's between words. And you'll see that when we do Morse code ciphers tomorrow, which is really cool. So this is the typical one you would see. It's still a bit easier than what the average Baconian cipher looks like, but yeah, this is a bunch of nonsense 5-letter words just strung together, and each one of these letters either corresponds to a or a B, or in other words, a 1 or a 0. And technically, there should be a pattern, but typically by the time you finish solving the cipher, you probably haven't figured out the pattern, or that's like from my experience. So the hint here is actually really helpful, where it tells you that the word ends in down. So I guess the 5-letter spaces are really nice too. If you see something like this is 1 letter. So we know that the last 4 words are down. So based on that, we can then first find anything that repeats. So if the word upset repeats or Roger repeats, you can just immediately then put like the corresponding letters in. If not, we can look at our table over here and figure out each letter and what they correspond to. So I guess if you guys want to start with that, that'd be great. And I'll just talk a little bit more about ciphers like these. They're very tedious, which is why they take a long time. So yeah, that's really it.
I think the word Mary should be replaced with S because it's the only thing that I think it's like the thing that has like 3 A's in the middle.
Oh, we can try that. So that would mean so wait, let me write this in a different color. Or yeah, I'll just use this color. So if you mean like this word Mary?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, let's give that a try. So this would be B-A-B, so this would be an S. And this would be B-A-B-A-B. Oh, do you see how that would make this word an X? I think we can keep that for now, but I think this looks a little bit suspicious. And this would make, oh, we can see this one. A-B-A-B-B. Oh, yeah, this really looks kind of suspicious. So I don't think this should be an S. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, no worries. I think that was a good guess. So D can either be a B or an A. So it's either an A or an E. So Madam and Radar and Media can either be A or E. Does anybody have a preference as to what we guess first? I see we have a lot of A's, so how about we just guess that it's B and then see where that takes us. So E, E, E. I see that dress here also needs something. So that would mean that we would think D corresponds to a B. So then what is B, A, A, B, B? Okay, it's either U or B. I think that probably put us in U territory. So then I would guess that L is B. Okay, that looks doable. So then N would be A, and then C would be B. So A, B. Hammer the, oh, cactus. So hammer the cactus to make it fall down. Hooray. This is a typical Baconian you would see. I think we made a couple of guesses, but I think we guessed mostly correctly. So that's great. And yeah, typically we would just put like hammer the cactus. Also, I feel like a lot of the times the ciphers we get, sometimes they make sense, sometimes they don't make any sense. So guessing words may or may not be the right way to go, but I feel like in this scenario it was more difficult to logically guess stuff. There are drawings. Okay, and that's the end for today. I'm surprised we got through the Baconians so fast, because they typically take my team and I a long time. But does anybody have any questions, or does anybody have a specific type of cipher they want to talk about for tomorrow? Oh, tomorrow or the day after that? Like, do we want to do, because I know talking about Morse code is definitely on my list.